What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the People's Temple, which was a new religious organization regarded as a highly destructive cult by religious scholars, founded by Jim Jones. Now, this cult was known for its high focus on racial equality whilst practicing very questionable treatments and actions upon its members. You may be wondering, who is this Jim Jones guy? I mean, he sounds like some Elvis Presley impersonator, but no, he is much more dangerous than an Elvis Presley impersonator, right? This guy was born on May 13th, 1931. His family was experiencing major poverty due to the Great Depression happening during the 1930s, forcing his family to move all over the state of Indiana before settling in the town of Lynn. Jones grew up going to church, and he was known as like being this weird, strange kid by his peers. He became an avid reader of works written by like hugely evil people like Adolf Hitler and Karl Marx during his academic years. After graduating with his university with honors, Jones joined the Communist Party of Indiana, which because he wanted to like spread his ideals against capitalism to others. And even though this was a time during when like anti-communist sentiment was engulfing U.S. society, he still had the guts to do it. He gained a position as a student pastor in a Methodist church. He would soon abandon this, though. Because, like, I don't know, he wanted to create his own, he wanted more power, which would mark the creation of the People's Temple, his church. He would integrate his own extremist beliefs, like communism, that he got from, like, reading Karl Marx, into a religious context, which would, like, oh my god, that is insane. That started his cult. Because if you pair those ideals under like, oh my god, this God is telling me to do this, it is killing him. So a brief timeline of this cult would be in 1951 he joined the Communist Party of Indiana. In 1953 he became the student pastor at the Methodist Church. He would gain a small following and he would soon leave his church when he left the church because he saw that it refused a mixed race congregation, and this would lead him to buy his own church in 1956, naming it the Wings of Deliverance, where he would further expand his following and further rename the church People's Temple Full Gospel Church. In the 1970s, the People's Temple surpassed 3,000 members. He relocated the church from Indianapolis to San Francisco and opened another church in Los Angeles. So he just shifted to California, where politicians there would actually highly support him due to his platform of racial desegregation, even though they were just ignoring everything that was happening in the cult. But the public wasn't ignoring all the suspicious activity because scrutiny against Jones would continue to grow in the 70s at like a staggering pace, mainly because of the lingering anti-communist sentiment there, Cold War and everything. In 1974, because of the mounting pressure from like U.S. public, U.S. media, he relocated his cult to the South American country of Guyana. This country was chosen primarily in part for its tolerance to socialism, which Jones absolutely loved. Jonestown was formally established where his members would actually live. Now this is where like all the restricting happens. He restricted the visas of those who chose to move to Jonestown, essentially trapping them there. Not essentially. He actually trapped them there. Now, from 1974 to 1977, the population would grow at a steady rate, and then in the summer of 1997, there was a huge spike, and he would become the sole outlet of information for those in Jonestown, making them entirely reliant on him and only him. He would subjugate those who tried to leave or escape to heavy drug sedation. Ruling through fear, Jones would organize events where People's Temple's members were told to drink from a supposedly poisoned pitcher of Kool-Aid, only to be later told that it was all a lie. So he was just making them believe that, I'm going to kill you guys, but just kidding. Look how funny I am. But that messed with their psyches. These would become to known as White Night rehearsals. Now, this is where things get really, really depressing. On November 17, 1978, Congressman Leo Ryan traveled to Jonestown alongside his delegation due to continued allegations of misconduct happening at Jonestown back in the mainland U.S. And initially, like, every temple member expressed like gratitude that they were there. They had no desire to leave. Everything was perfect. That was until two members actually secretly passed a note to Leo Ryan containing a desperate plea for help and evacuate, and like they want to evacuate Jonestown. And how they were uncovered, how this note was uncovered, was actually like a child saw the note being passed. It was insane. Now, the next day, November 18th, 1978, more temple members would step forward when they were prompted, when they were asked by, the delegation, if, and Jones appeared to let them do so, but Ryan and his delegation, when they left to the airstrip outside Port Kaitama, where the Jonestown was near, Jones actually sent a group of his cult members armed with guns after the defectors in a mission to kill Leo Ryan and all the other, people. And they actually did do so. They killed 5 people, including the congressman, and injured 11 more. The group then returned to Jonestown and like announced the killings to the rest of the and there was a white night. It wasn't a white night rehearsal. It was the real thing. There was a pitcher of poison Kool-Aid there. And when it was announced, Jones declared that everyone must commit one massive group suicide, since their lives would be much worse if they stayed to face the consequences, killing a congressman. Glasses containing this Kool-Aid were handed out to members, where they all would drink from them, most voluntarily, some involuntarily, like children. Over 900 people died at once. This was the biggest loss of U.S. life before 9/11. It was insane. Today, thankfully, after that huge, it's known as the Jonestown Massacre. The temple declared for bankruptcy, and not much later, it dissolved entirely. It spanned from 1954 to 1978. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next week, we'll be covering whatever you guys want, because this isn't real. Thank you.